Sonia from Hunny Bee. This next technique I'm going to show you today is one of my favorites, and I learned it back when I was studying fashion design at TAFE and did a course in shoemaking. It was a lot of fun, and one of those techniques that we learnt in the shoemaking room is one that I carry over today into my toy making. Now, have you ever noticed on your shoes that there's stitching, there's never any visible back stitches? Surely though, the thread might break mid-project, or it runs out and it needs to be changed over. What if there's a mistake that's been made? Well, this is where you may start and end your thread without it being apparent where that's happened, because there's no back stitching. So let's take a closer look now at the technique that you can use to keep your customers guessing, how on earth did she or he do that? Let's get into it. Here is one that I completed earlier. Take a moment. Do you see any back stitching? Do you think you can identify where the thread starts and ends? How about if I told you that it was here? Leave everyone guessing how you completed such a refined finish. Now let's have a closer look at the method involved. Here's another one that I've previously prepared. I've both started and ended the machine stitching in the same area. However, just to help you visualize it a bit better, I have left a slight gap, as you can see in the stitching there, so they're not quite aligning. Now, what you actually want to aim to do is have that last stitch end where the first stitch begins, and then remove it from your machine. So cutting the threads, you will then have your top stitching and your bobbin stitching. Now see how there's a slight gap or variation in where it starts and ends. That'll hopefully help you see this technique a bit easier. So what we're going to do is tug on one of these bobbin threads. So starting with this one, ever so slightly, and what you'll see, if you look very closely, is that it starts to pull up the top thread back through to the back. So I'm going to use my needle or pin to capture that bit of thread and pull it through. Oops, the wrong one. Here's one here. And as I pull, you can see one of those threads disappearing. Back to the reverse, and taking your other bobbin thread, give it a slight tug. Capture that stitch. If we look to the front, we can see the right one moving and returning to the back. Now, sometimes as you complete this method, you might notice that you accidentally remove one of the top stitches, or like I have in this case, there is clearly a gap between what's being created. So what we need to do is then just take a needle and thread, and a needle and one of those threads that are now in the reverse, and just re-stitch in that one by hand. So going back to the one I completed earlier, you can see that it's been tied off securely and then the excess ends removed. So I use this method in a number of places. As you can see, I've used it in this instance in the eye marking and the pupil, but it is also a technique that I'll use when I complete the stitches for the markings on the flank. So again, the start and finish points aren't easily discerned, and it's tied off neatly and securely on the back. Now, I hope you've enjoyed learning about this new method of starting and ending a project, and I hope you enjoy this special touch when completing your own. Thanks for watching.